Okay guys, so we got this 2000 Jeep Cherokee. I made a video, I don't know if I ever posted it. It was like 2 years ago. I used the pulse sensor to diagnose a misfire on this. The guy brought it in for a check engine light on, and it looks like there's no fuel. Check engine light, no fuel. And we have our misfire again. And I'm pretty sure it was cylinder 3. I used the pulse sensor, and the intake valve was leaking. So actually, I guess it was like a year ago, because I think 2 years ago, it might have been 3, I did the head gasket on this. Had everything checked, cleaned everything spotless, and when he brought it back in, it still had the oil filter on from like a year or so ago, and he put thousands of miles on it. And it's all, like, everything's all sludged up. There's like an inch of sludge in the head. So I'm gonna get this inside and then we'll check it out. So guys, I just want to show you a little visual inspection technique. So you can see we're at 211,000 miles. Well, my oil change interval, it says that I did it, because I always write down the date I did it. So 4/22/19 was when I did it. It is now 1/29/20. So it's been 8 months, and that's the next service date was 207,000. So it's 5,000 miles. He's 4,000 miles over. So he went 9,000 miles on this oil change. So we're gonna go check the oil level real quick, and then we'll do a relative compression. And we'll just go through this like I did last time. So I'm gonna get everything set up to do a relative compression. And I guess I'll record it, I'll just fast forward it. Let me get my tripod. Okay guys, here we go. Oil level. I have a feeling it might not be any big in existence. Look how, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's like all sludgy. So there we go. We're way below add. Add is the first line. See if we can get this to focus. There you go. So add is here. Safe is here. We're way low. So we're going to set up, do a relative compression. Let's get everything set up. Okay guys, I gotta get a battery real quick. My amp clamp's dead. Okay guys, so got my amp clamp, I just clamped it on, new battery. So we're good there. Let me get the laptop turned on. We're gonna get my pulse sensor hooked up. We're gonna go to the purge valve port. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's right here behind the intake. There we go. See, I'm gonna need a hose to go on there. We'll need a slightly bigger fitting. I didn't know if you were, it was in my pocket. I didn't know if you were disconnecting things. There we go. So we'll put our pulse sensor right here. You just don't want the pulse sensor banging off the plastic intake. And now we'll lay I'm gonna look up real quick because I think there's a control wire that goes to the ignition coil for cylinder 1. I want to double check. So guys, I moved my pulse sensor. I put it down here. I didn't realize that there was a big port right here it's dead center in the intake rather than over there. And got my amp clamp here. We'll turn the amp clamp on. Shut the battery charger off. Just wanted to make sure that I was going to be fully charged to test this. And I connected my third trace right here to the ignition coil trigger. This trigger is 1 and 4, I believe. So stop this again. Apparently shutting the battery charger off started it. Let me bring up a capture real quick. I want to record this at the same time for you guys. There we go. Let's see. Here we go. Start recording. So we should be able to capture this all for you. Still a long crank. There we go. That should be a nice long capture. So we'll stop this and then we'll look at it. Let's see. So here we go. There you go. You can see the bad cylinders. Well, bad cylinder, because we got right here's our trigger. So we got our trigger, and then right here's our low cylinder. So this should be 1 and 4. So we have 1 pull, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. So this is one of our bad cylinders. There's another low one that looks like right here. So I'm going to get a cylinder overlay. I'm going to set this up, and then we'll look at this with an overlay over top of it. So I'll be right back. So guys, here's the capture that we took with the intake pulses. The relatives in blue down here. The red's the intake pulse, and green is the ignition coil 1 and 6 control. So you can see like down here, how we have this hash. And this hash is making me think that we have an issue with, which cylinder is this? With cylinder 4, because it's coming up on compression right here, and then you see this hash down here. So I think what we should do is we should go in cylinder 4 and look at the waveform from that and compare it to this and see what's going on, because this is cylinder 4 right here when it comes up on compression, and right here is the hash, and then it might give us a better picture of what's going on. We may have to do another cylinder after that, but I think 4 will give us a good idea of what's going on. So guys, I wanted to go over the captures with you guys on the Jeep. You can have a little class right here. So I was talking to my friend Brandon Steckler about some of these captures. So if we look at this capture right here, I'll bring up some rulers. Let's see. So right there is one cylinder. This is going to be the other end. Let's see. So there we go, we got our 6 cylinders. And you can see right here and here there's hash. Let's see, is that 6? I need one more. There we go. So right there's hash. And you can see how these pulls aren't as even. Let's bring up our cursor, or I mean another line. Here we go, put this one here. And we'll put another one here. You can see how there are different spots. Zoom this in more. There are different heights here. And I was talking to Brandon, and this like hash right here is an acceleration of air, which could be from carbon or like a leaking valve. Now if we go to our other capture, this capture right here, I don't think I showed you guys this one because it only happened for a split second, and it was when I wasn't filming. At least I don't think I was filming. So here's a capture I took. We'll look at it over here. So all our peaks right here on this cylinder, this is cylinder 4, are all pretty even. Actually, no, they're not even. They're even right here. And then there's some that are lower. Like you can see, this one's a little lower right here. That's a 13 psi difference. And then down here, this one's 42 psi. And if we zoom in on this one right here, you can see that when this cylinder is coming down, well, when it's going up on compression, it's pushing more air into the intake because this pull is less. Right here, this pull is not as big. And you can see over here, when it seals better, this pull is deeper. So it's pushing air into the intake. And let me go to my other picture. This is one that Brandon drew. He circled right here where he thinks that these pools aren't as deep as this one over here at the 540 degree mark, because air is constantly going back into the intake because the valve's leaking. So if the intake's under vacuum, it's going to be pulling from the high pressure area, which would be the cylinder, because right now the cylinder would be at atmospheric pressure because of the exhaust stroke. And the cylinder, and the piston's moving up at the same time. So that's where we're at with that. And I wonder if I can bring up my pictures from before. Let's see. Let me see if I can bring these up. Okay guys, so here's a capture that I took of the Jeep back in, I think it was April 18th of 2019. And this is when I first had diagnosed the cylinder 4 valve issue. And right here you can see that we got our relative on the top, our intake pulse in the middle in blue, and our end cylinder in the bottom. And then what I did back then, a friend of mine, Michael Nicholson, who made my pulse sensors, he had said to cap the intake, and this would cause a huge vacuum on the intake. And when I did that, you can see here that every time the cylinder comes up on compression, it makes the pulse sensor zero at a new spot. And you can see the air just getting pushed in the intake because it zeroes to a higher pressure. Like it's no longer a big vacuum, and you can see it keeps stepping up and stepping up and stepping up. So that was how we confirmed that before. Now my friend Brandon doesn't recommend this because you're changing the way the engine breathes, but it clearly showed what the issue was here. So I gotta see what the customer wants to do, and I'm telling him to get a new motor just because of how many times they went without changing the oil. But I figured I'd just show you guys what we found out. And I don't know why it says cylinder 3s as a misfire, unless that's a totally separate problem. But when this valve starts leaking like this, it sounds like a dead cylinder. And that's what happened. And then I tried to stop cranking it because I wanted to make sure everything was set up. And then the problem wasn't there anymore. I guess the only other thing we could do is look in the intake and see if there's any carbon buildup, which we can easily do that with my Borescope. So guys, we're going to go in the spark plug hole and we're going to inspect cylinder 4, the one that's leaking. There we go. Oh guys, there's the piston. That does not look good. That looks all pitted. You guys, that piston is destroyed. At least that's what it looks like. Hold on guys, I'm going to try to turn this around the other way. That piston definitely doesn't look real good. I wonder if there's a lot of detonation going on. Let's look at the valves. So there's the head. The head looks all beat up too. Let's see if we can get a good picture of our intake valve. These are cast iron heads. I'm guessing that's all carbon buildup. This doesn't look real nice because this head was real nice and clean. I wonder. I'm gonna have to look see if I got pictures of the head from when I did the head gasket and the pistons, because I usually take pictures. I just don't know if I have them or not. But it definitely didn't look like this. So I'm gonna leave it here. I'll see what the customer wants to do. I'll let you guys know. So guys, another thing that I noticed is there's no coolant in here. Well, there's some coolant because I can hear it. But if I squeeze this hose, you don't even get anything. Like, I can't even get it to like, I can't even get coolant to slosh around in there. So I don't even know how much coolant's in here. And the bottle over here, this bottle, it's completely empty. And I don't know why the coolant's all red. I had flushed everything on here when I did the head gasket. I noticed like this hose is all swelled right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. The hose is all swelled. Doesn't sound like there's anything in here either. I know it's above the housing, but yeah, there's like nothing in there. I know he had spliced, at least I think he had spliced this hose down here. I don't remember. We can try to put some coolant in here. See how low it is. See if we can set you guys up. Here we go. Gonna put some universal green stuff in here. I have no idea what this is. It looks kind of green down there. Got about a half a gallon here. Okay, so we used over half of this. Maybe this is why I saw a bottle of antifreeze in the back of his vehicle. So put the rest in over here. I didn't put much in there, but at least now it should be a little safer. Once I fill that jug up over there and run this and get the radiator completely full, I bet you we're probably going to be down like a gallon of antifreeze. Just saying. Gotta connect all these back up. So I guess we'll leave it there. And I'll see you guys later. Hope you guys like this. So guys, here's some bonus content for you. Here's cylinder 2. This is cylinder 2. I think all this like white round stuff is all carbon. So look at all that. Let's look at the piston if we can. There's that one. Let's go to cylinder 3. Here's cylinder 3. Look at the head. I wonder if it's like the gas or something that he's running, or maybe it's from not changing his oil. Because I've never seen a car that looked this bad on the inside like this. Usually it doesn't come up white, you'll see like black. Or if it's just from driving it with it not running right. Unless maybe he's been dumping fuel treatment cleaner and stuff in here, because he did that in the past. Like, he'd put stuff in there and say, oh, this will help me pass emissions. And I'm like, a bottle of stuff isn't going to help you pass emissions. I wish it would focus there at the edges, but first I thought that was a crack, but it looks like it's just like some kind of stain. But there we go, we were able to compare the two cylinders.